you know, so having said all this though, Stirl, about safety, doesn't that inevitably mean that what you're really saying is the consequence of all this is that people are going to get hurt, and God forbid, people are going to get killed?
Unfortunately, that has always was one of the unfortunate necessary ingredients, I suppose, of motor
Do you think
racing.
it is necessary? Do you think that the two have to go hand in hand? Top flight motorsport and death and injury.
I suppose they don't
separate.
have to, because thank God there isn't that much serious injury now. But I think that to make the sport as difficult as it ought to be to go into, then I'm afraid that that ingredient has to be present.
Now, this is something that we haven't talked about, and all the years I've known you, we've very rarely touched on this subject, because I'm never sure if it's a very sensitive subject, and if you want to tell me that you want to move on to something else, we'll do that.
I'll leave.
But you'll tell me in no uncertain terms, I'm sure. But can we talk briefly about your big accident at Goodwood?
Oh yeah, that doesn't worry me.
I mean,
I'm sorry I was there, but it doesn't. No, it doesn't worry me, because
it nearly killed you.
Yes, but I can't remember it.
Can you honestly not remember anything?
No, I can remember nothing from the day before. I'd been to a party, and I met a real cracker, a South African girl who was so cute.
Name?
It doesn't matter. But she was really very bubbly and a lot of fun. And the last thing I actually remember was backing out, I think, from the hotel in which I was staying at Chichester, because it was at Goodwood, and banging the thing that the doors closed onto, and it gave a bang on underneath the car. It was all right. And I went to the circuit, and then I can't remember anything anymore.
Now, the party, you weren't drinking. You didn't used to drink
I
the
didn't
night
drink.
before.
No, I didn't drink.
Unlike that
no.
Mike Hawthorne, who used to drink
he drank
quite healthily and always used to win these bloody races.
Yeah,
wasn't fair, was it?
Well, no, that was all right.
Anyway,
Mike had his thing, and
it's not as if there was a problem and you had a little trace of alcohol in your blood the next day, and that interfered with you. I mean, I knew that anyway, but I just wanted to be clear about that. You go to the circuit. You come off. Do you remember the laps before? Do you remember actually coming off?
I do not even remember. I know what I did, because I've read it. I came into the pits because I was having some trouble with the selection of the gearbox, but I don't remember that. I have an island of amnesia, which more or less goes from the morning of the race until I think 4 weeks after, when I became conscious again. And I don't remember anything. So I have no fear or worry. I mean, it's just a fact. I don't even while we're talking now, I don't actually know where I went off. I know the corner, roughly where it was.
I know. Peter Gethin showed me down.
Well, he would know, but they haven't put a plaque up or anything, have they? There's no little cross there for me.
It didn't kill you still.
No, I suppose that's the point. I suppose I should be pleased about that.
Thank God.
Yeah. No, but I know roughly where it was, and it was after this corner called Forewater, I think, and I can think why it might have happened. But one thing I'm pretty sure of, frankly, is one, I don't think I made a mistake, because I could take that early part flat out, and there's no reason why I shouldn't have done. And the other thing that could quite possible is that something mechanically went wrong. In other words, something went wrong on the car.
Not for the first time.
Oh, I'd had wheels come off and God knows what else, yes, on that car, or cars like that. And I don't know what it was. It happened too quickly. The pictures of it, of course, are taken by an amateur with an 8mm camera, so they don't really show anything. And they had to cut the chassis open to get me out.
I think I'm right in saying that the day after that incident, in the early 60s, that was the front page news story. I mean, it was the headline news story. Just as the headline news these days might be about Tony Blair or John Major, it was about Stirling Moss.
Yes,
not the sports pages, the front pages.
Well, no, it's interesting you say that, because in my era, I don't think ever was my race reported on a sports page. It was always editorial news. You know, either somebody had been hurt, or you'd done this or that, or you went out with some girl or something. But it was never not relegated. It was never placed on the sports pages. Motor racing wasn't any more than was, shall we say, polo.
And what about your injury, still? What exactly did you sustain?
Well, my main injuries, I broke the odd bone here and there, but my main injury was that I banged my head, which then put me unconscious for a month and paralysed down one side, this side actually, left side I think, for 6 months. And my speech, I slur. Even when I came to, I could talk, but I couldn't speak properly, and I can even remember now how the way I slurred. It was quite bad. I had no memory. My memory, if I started to tell you something, and as an anecdote or something, I'd then think, well, why the hell am I telling you this? So I had no memory, no concentration, and in fact that's why I had to give up really from motor racing, which I tried myself out within a year, and I think I should have waited 3 or 4 in hindsight. But the sport moves fast, and the press, as you know, the power of the press, they keep coming, are you going to race, when are you going to race? And I always thought I'd race another week, putting it off, because I thought I would. And there you are.
What about vision? Any problems with that afterwards? Because seeing some of the pictures, and not all the pictures I think were published, I've seen some of them, and
my eye actually sort of came out, I think. No, my vision was certainly quite acceptable. I mean, I still now I need glasses to read properly, but if it's a bright sunshine, I can read. No, there were no problems on that. I think my main problem was loss of concentration. I lost my balance. I couldn't stand on. I mean, if I wanted to put my socks on, I have to lean against the wall then, and those sort of things. And I mean, I'd had worse accidents. I broke my back and my legs only 2 years before. I'd been racing within a month, and so I was convinced I'd be racing very shortly. And of course, it didn't work out that way. I mean, I wanted to.
It seems to me that the difference between those days and these days is that in your era, in the 50s and in maybe the 60s as well, and the 70s, because there were an awful lot of tragedies in the 70s.
Yeah, they were listing. There were once, when Jackie Stewart came in, he started bringing the arm codes and this, that and the other, and taking there's no doubt that safety was considered. In my era, the safety we considered was purely of the public, because the public matter. And we said, look, we had an association we formed called the GPDA, which has been restarted. But the first thing we said was, look, we've got to look after the public. They are the paying people. They're the reason we're there. Therefore, we must make sure that where they are is kept safe. And that was one of our important things. And which is quite interesting how it's now changed. If I'd been driving a modern car, I can tell you this, boy, I'd have been back in the pits and got another one out. I mean, it would be nothing. That is for sure. But I was very lucky driving the thing that I was driving and the way it went. Certainly, I'm lucky to be here now.